Hi, I'm Jane. I'm a volunteer with the Riding for the Disabled Association based in Harrogate in Yorkshire. And in this short video, we'd like to share with you the recent volunteer recruitment success that we've had, in the hope that should you ever need more volunteers, that the process that we've been through might help you. Stockeld Park RDA is based at Harrogate Riding Centre, but it gets its name from Stockeld Park, where the group was first set up in 1973 by two women providing lessons for children, not for adults, and those lessons started out free and they still are today. We have 2 sessions in the morning and 2 sessions in the afternoon on a Tuesday, and whilst we've got 40 volunteers, the afternoon session was running dangerously close of not having sufficient volunteers to run those sessions, so we embarked on a new recruitment campaign to try some new different methods in spring of this year, and we're really pleased to say that it has been a really huge success for us and we're absolutely delighted. Our target was 10 new volunteers and we actually achieved 20 with some on the waiting list. We just want to give you a bit of an overview of the campaign timeline and to give you some encouragement that whilst recruiting new volunteers can take a long time, actually it doesn't always need to. It took us 6 weeks from the start of the campaign on the 20th of March right through till the 9th of May when we completed the second of the training sessions for the new volunteers. So we started with a press release, and that press release was inviting people to come to the open day and with a contact phone number so people could chat and encourage them to come, not to worry about the experience at that point or whether or not it was something that they might eventually want to do. And then on the open session that we held, we encouraged people to bring their application forms with them or complete one when they were there and decide whether or not this was something they wanted to go ahead with. And then for those that did want to take it forward, we held 2 training sessions. We needed to split the group because there were so many people. There are lots of different ways that you can go about recruiting new volunteers, but as a team we felt that there were 6 key things that we wanted to share with you that really helped us eventually recruit our new volunteers. And starting with the first one, it was team collaboration and support and planning. So whilst I helped to lead the volunteer recruitment campaign, I absolutely needed the help and support of the other key members of our group and then also the wider group as well. So identifying the core recruitment and training team and getting those on board and supporting was really motivational and great because we had quite a few things to do. But it was also really important that we briefed everybody before and during and post the campaign, and by everybody I mean literally the whole of our riding group. So everybody felt that they knew what was going on, they felt that we were really trying to get more support to help everybody and that they could play their part too. And also encouraging involvement in tasks that perhaps people haven't got experience in at all, and that included, for example, the media, which I'll go into in a minute, but doing radio interviews. It was the first time some people have done them and it was absolutely fine. So it's not always needing people with experience in that area, but it was just enthusiasm. And the other thing was celebrating successes. We didn't know whether we were going to get no volunteers, 1 volunteer, and hadn't expected we would get 20, but celebrating those small steps was really important to us. The second, and one of the really key points to take away, is about creating a really compelling recruitment message for the media on this occasion, because that was the key way in which we were recruiting. We sent out a press release to 27 media and 8 responded, and I think it's just to give you confidence that it's the quality and not the quantity that's important. And we got the best results from just a few of the media, and the digital online media were the most effective, not the actual printed media, not necessarily the local paper, so not to worry if it doesn't reach those media. The key thing about a press release, if it's not something you're aware of already, is that the media are really short of time. So those photographers and the correspondents at the media don't often have time to make a call to get more information from you. So if you can make that press release the very best that you can, really craft it, then they will often print what you have written in its entirety. So engaging the media attention in the first paragraph is really key, and it's often described as the 4 W's. So just making sure that you explain what you're doing, why you're doing it, where you're doing it and when you're doing it, and that grabs the attention. with an arresting headline. The other key thing is just to make sure you get that balance. You desperately might want volunteers, but what do those volunteers want from you? What are they going to get in return? So just make sure that your message is balanced. So what they're going to give and what they're going to get. And the other one is, if the media are going to print a significant article, they like a different voice, not just perhaps one spokesperson from your riding group. So on this occasion, I actually drafted a quote from the principal of one of the schools, and I sent it to the principal and said, would she mind me using it? Would she like to edit it or change it in any way? But actually she was quite happy with it. And I also did the same with a quote from one of our volunteers, and just to make it easy for them, and so that there was one voice in the communication, and I knew what key messages that we needed to get across. But I wanted to make sure that they felt comfortable with what I was writing, and if they wanted to change it in any way, that was absolutely fine. And the other key thing was putting in what the call to action was about. So what's going to happen when this goes out? And we were saying, if you're interested, just come along to the open day. There's absolutely no commitment. And on there, made the decision to put a telephone number, which actually was my number on this occasion. There was also the address of our RDA Stockeld Park website if people chose to take that route. But we felt that it was really important that people had a contact to encourage as many people as possible to come along to the open day. Key point number 3 is having really confident communication and good engagement skills. And it was important that as a group we felt that those involved in the recruitment team and having the most contact with the new volunteers certainly had those skills. And I mentioned that we included a phone contact number when the press release went out, and we felt that was important because you know what it's like for all of us sometimes, doing something new or wondering whether or not it's going to be right for you. You might not just want to turn up without previous conversation. So there were lots and lots of conversations with people who said, I've seen your article, I'm interested in coming, but I'm not so sure because I don't have horse experience, or I'm not sure I've got the right experience with children. And we were able to reassure them. But it was also a great opportunity to vet, and by vet I mean make sure that we were going to be able to offer those volunteers the experience they were looking for, because the whole point about this process was to retain the volunteers that were recruited and try to minimise the amount of drop-off which can happen when you recruit your volunteers in the coming weeks and sometimes months when they realise that this isn't the opportunities that they're looking for their volunteering experience. So there were a couple of people who we agreed with them that we weren't going to be able to satisfy their needs on this occasion. But otherwise, the rest of the volunteers who had inquired came along to that open session. And it was important to us as well that we managed their expectations and again made them feel comfortable before the day. So just a couple of days before the open session, we sent out an email just saying what to expect, what to wear. To us it might seem really obvious, but it isn't necessarily for those that haven't volunteered with a group like Riding for the Disabled previously. Number 4 was for us as a group having a really friendly, organised and professional approach. We thought this was really important because we wanted to do our best to sell ourselves, because securing new volunteers isn't necessarily easy. There's a lot of competition out there for volunteering opportunities, so we wanted to really demonstrate that we were a great team to join. So when people came, they had a badge. It was really important to us that not only did they have the badge very clearly with their name on, so we could remember who they were when we were chatting and recall details, but also as a group we also wore badges, just sticky badges on that day, so that they could get to know us. And it's all that point about breaking down some barriers and demonstrating how friendly and welcoming we are. And each person also got a personalised pack of information and included a covering letter from the chairman, Pam, who'd written a welcoming letter, and also reassuring people yet again to say, we want you to join with us and hopefully stay with us. If you think after today this isn't the opportunity for you, that's absolutely all right, but we would obviously love you to join our group. And within that pack, we use some of the great material that the RDA provide, getting started with the RDA and welcome to a new group and safeguarding, etc. And also an application form if people hadn't already filled it in. There was plenty of coffee, cake, and also just before they watched the session in process with the children, which is one of the key reasons why they had also come, we gathered round as a group and with the recruitment team, and also what was great was some of the other volunteers also joined in as well, and we just did a really small and informal briefing. The coaches and the chair and other members of the group contributed, and just explaining what we're about, what to expect, people had any questions, and really what an important role being a volunteer is within the RDA and what that looks like on a national scale. And we were delighted that actually on the day and a couple of weeks before as well, we were really supported by Mel and also Julie, RDA staff, showing their support and demonstrating also to the new volunteers really how important volunteering is. Key point number 5 is the induction and training plan, because it was equally important to get the induction and training plan right, and again give a really good impression and give really great training so that our new volunteers could hit the ground running, because we needed to get them involved in the group in order to keep the sessions running. So from the very start of the recruitment campaign, we worked together on planning the recruitment, but also then how the induction and training would land, choosing the right date to get them started, set aside that time, plan out what we were going to do with them, because we didn't know whether we were going to get one volunteer, were we going to reach our target of 10. And then when we saw that it was really successful and we were getting up to 15 plus volunteers, it was like, how are we going to manage those within the coming weeks so that they felt that they had a part to play and weren't having to wait a number of weeks before they started the training and felt that they were doing something useful. And it was also really important that as Julia was briefing the rest of the group, they were saying what part they could play in helping training those new volunteers. And that was also a great way of getting some bonding with the group and getting people to know each other. So I've taken you through 5 of the 6 key factors that our group wanted to share with you that really helped us get to where we are with our new volunteers. So just a quick recap. First one being team collaboration, support and planning. Whereas one person in the group might be responsible for recruitment and possibly also the training, they can't do it alone. They need the encouragement and support of the whole group. I would also recommend don't wing it, plan it out. You'll feel better about it and it'll certainly give a much better impression and the outcome will be equally good. Secondly, create a really compelling recruitment message. We used press release to get that message out, but if you use social media or you want to use posters, just make sure it's really strong, that you can beat the competition and get the people that you want. Thirdly, make sure that people are feeling confident about engaging with new volunteers and have got good communication, but also listening skills and good at chatting, because that will really help bring people on board, not just initially, but also going forward as well through the training and beyond. Fourthly, friendly, organised and professional approach. Probably got that anyway, but just make sure that's fully embedded in that recruitment and training process, giving the right impression. Fifthly, the induction and training plan is equally important, if not more important, than the initial recruitment, because at the end of the day, that's why we're recruiting, in order to give people a really great experience with us in the group. And so we need confident and fully trained volunteers. And the 6th one is positivity and drive. It isn't necessarily easy recruiting new volunteers, but it doesn't need to be hard either, and it can be incredibly rewarding. As a group, we've found that the new volunteers joining us have brought positivity, new energy, refreshed us as a group, made us perhaps think a little bit differently, and we've got a lot of positivity about what we can do going forward, actually beyond what we had initially set ourselves to do. So don't give up, keep trying. That's the end of the video. So just to say a big thank you on behalf of all of us volunteers at Stockeld Park RDA, based in Harrogate in Yorkshire. We're not experts in volunteering. We've learnt a lot along the way. We've achieved some successes, and we hope that perhaps through the video we've been able to share some tips and hints that might help you whenever you need to recruit more volunteers. If anybody does have any questions, further questions, or wants to chat to us, then we'd love to hear from you and can be contacted via our website at Stockeld Park RDA. All the very best.